The St. Paul, the Fan.
Stroud under center on 2nd and 20 at the Browns 37. One back motor. CJ fakes the gift, steps out to his right. He's got a lot of time, and he throws deep, and he wants Dalton Schultz. Has him! Rock and roll! Touchdown, Houston!
Mark Vandermeer, a guest yesterday on the 9 to noon radio show. He's the play-by-play voice for the Houston Texans with that call. And we were just discussing the Dalvin Cook and his potential for playoff success or lack thereof in the Houston-Baltimore game. And that's the very first game of all the playoff games this weekend. And Baltimore is a 9.5-point favorite. So let's start here. You have two teams that are favored in the vicinity of 9.5 points. Mm-hmm. The 49ers, the 49ers and the Ravens. If one were to get usurped and just flat beat, which one do you think it would be and why?
It's this one. Houston is going to give Baltimore a way better game than people realize. Houston's a legitimately good team, and C.J. Stroud way better than people realize. The best passer on the field is going to be C.J. Stroud in this game. Baltimore's best cornerback, Marlon Humphrey's been ruled out.
How about that?
That is a big loss. When you're facing Nico Collins, who's turning into a top 10, top 12 wide receiver in this league.
And Nico Collins, I mean, from a guillotine league standpoint, I'd followed his name all year. But yeah. I mean, I didn't watch the Texans one time. So I had seen C.J. Stroud highlights and stuff like that.
Right.
But then I kind of drilled down the situation watching him beat Stefanski last game. And I didn't realize, I thought he ran a little more, which he doesn't. And I didn't realize how he's C.J. Stroud just had something to him that I didn't know he had. I knew he was good. But then you get to Nico Collins. And I'm like, I had seen his name and heard his name, and he'd been in the league a few years, like a second or third round pick, something like that. I had no idea. I'm not going to say he's Andre Johnson thick. I had no idea how big and thick that young man was.
He's more physical than people know.
Holy cow. And his position flexibility. So you see him wide left, wide right, slot left, slot right. And generally a few of the plays where I saw him in the slot, they would run. And so now that the next step there is you can tell that he's interested in the run blocking game. Mm-hmm. So that kind of answered low key a question about Devin Singletary that I had into the game. Like, what in the hell got into Devin Singletary this year? And then you see Collins out in front blocking for him for an extra 4, 5, 6 yards, man. Nico Collins is nice.
He is nice. They lost Tank Dell midseason. He was on fire as well. This offense
is a rookie, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. He was the rookie slot receiver.
An hour ago, we're talking to Dan Miller about Gibbs, Laporta, Branch.
Yeah.
Well, we remember doing the draft show last year when they take Stroud and Bryce Young went first, and then the Texans take Stroud.
Right.
And then D'Amico splashes and gets he and Casario, however you say it, the GM, they get all the way up to the next spot to get Will Anderson. And it's like, wow. I mean, D'Amico is drawing a metaphorical line in the sand here, which is cool if you're a Texans fan, because it's easy to figure out.
Yeah.
Did you take the right quarterback of Young was gone, so now you had this guy and you had Levis and so on. Okay, yes, you did. You got the best of the bunch. And that is it's such a unique move to do something like that, to get the defensive guy you covet. And it just reeks of D'Amico having the conversation with the GM. Like, GM runs it by him. He's like, all right, so I get this guy who we like more than that guy. Cool. And then I get my favorite defensive guy in the draft. And then look at what's next. They get to the playoffs.
And Houston gave up a first rounder this year to go get Will Anderson. They did a swap with the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
The Cardinals gave up, that was pick 3 of the draft. Houston became so good this year, they're currently sitting at pick 23.
Wow.
And, it could move the wrong direction with the win here for the Cardinals. So the Cardinals ended up on when the Cardinals traded that number 3, and they thought this first rounder from Houston was going to be a lot higher than it's turned out, because Houston's been way better.
Right.
But yes, they nailed their draft. You mentioned Will Anderson, C.J. Stroud, and Tank Dell. Those were huge hits. Dell was a 4th rounder, highly productive, huge hits for this team.
And in the Tolstoy, I was surprised to learn the Texans run the ball 26 times a game. Yeah. Singletary gets almost all of it. I was even more surprised to learn about some factoids about the Ravens defense, because it's like Cleveland had this statistically ballyhooed defense.
Yeah.
But if you followed it even relatively closely during the course of the year, it's the best defenses in the NFL this year statistically. Like, I'm telling you right now, if you focus on it, you can run on the Lions. I mean, you can go ahead and give me all those numbers you want. If you focus on it, it's not an historically good run defense. And like the Ravens or Cleveland is the defenses that were upper echelon for against the run, against the pass, stuff like that. When the rubber was meeting the road, they were just normal defenses. So I just really like the Niners. You can throw on the Niners, but you got to keep Bosa, and you got to keep a linebacker or whomever, maybe Chase Young, who I'm not super fond of right now. But nevertheless, you can throw on the Niners. But you think of the Niners with those names, really good defense. I just think that I'm with you here about this Ravens defense, man.
The Raven, we set up in our minds early in the season what these teams look like. We're like, Browns, great defense. Ravens, great defense.
Right.
And they're good defenses, but these things change over time.
Yep.
Listen to this. Over the past 5 weeks, Ravens ranked 29th in rushing yards allowed and 30th in yards per carry at 5.2 yards per carry, Paul.
Yep.
This is a real opportunity for Devin Singletary to have a potentially a big game. And if this Marlon Humphrey loss at cornerback puts C.J. Stroud on some real effectiveness, and Nico Collins has a big game, there's a real pathway for Houston to go into Baltimore and take out the number 1 seed.
See, now one of your super special props is Singletary more than 56.5 rushing yards. And I like that. The caution I would have here is it's from the we know that you know that we know that you know this run, and we've had a week and change to like focus on it.
Yeah.
With this little mini bye into the divisional round. So I'm a little lukewarm on that one. Singletary's over, but it is a gettable number. The next one, Schultz under 36.5 receiving yards that you like. You've listed reasons.
I know it's it's convoluted.
Well, no, I like it. I like it because I like this one a lot, and here's why. There were 2 moments in that game against Stefanski where Schultz worked himself open. Stroud has a swivel, and he looked left, and then swung back to the right, and here's Dalton Schultz on, a shallow cross. Right into his hands, and he dropped it. And then the next one, a quarter later, right into his hands, and he dropped it.
Yeah.
I swear Stroud did not look his way the rest of the game. Just keep that in mind when you're thinking about this under 36.5 for the tight end.
It's all about Kyle Hamilton, a player that Vikings fans are very familiar with. Here's how the Ravens deploy Kyle Hamilton. If they're playing a team with a very good slot receiver, they put Kyle Hamilton on that slot receiver. Tank Dell's out. It's John Mechie right now. He is not a very good slot receiver. So what are they going to do with Kyle Hamilton? One of the best coverage safeties in the league, maybe the best. They're going to put him on Dalton Schultz and neutralize Dalton Schultz, take their chances with John Mechie beating you, and they're going to take away Schultz. And I think he's sitting on a bad game because Kyle Hamilton's that good.
Yesterday, 9 to noon, we were talking to Mark Vandermeer, the play-by-play guy for the Texans. And, I'm like, do the Texans have a fight song? He's like, no. And then he brought up some country song where, a guy, a rather familiar name, likes the Texans, did a song, stuff like that. So then we played Nordo Found, Houston Oilers, Houston Oilers, Houston Oilers number 1.
Bump, ba-dum, bump, bump, bump.
And then he listened to the Dolphins fight song, and it was a direct ripoff
of that?
Of the Oilers. Yeah, it was Miami Dolphins number 1. So
yeah, it was done by T-Pain.
Yeah, by T-Pain. So 25 minutes from now, we are going to unfurl to the best of our ability the fight songs for each team remaining in the postseason, and then we will rank them and analyze them and kind of see where they fit in the pecking order of the Friday football feast. That's the 10:35. Right now is the cash thing.
Indeed, the Fan, along with the Big Ten Conference, they want to give you a chance to put $1,000 in your hand. It's the National Cash Contest. Go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword cash, and you might win $1,000. Go to KFAN.com.
So does home for football.
Welcome back to 9 to noon. It is time for the Wild File, brought to you by Pronto Heating and Air. You can simply go to prontoheat.com for more intel on Pronto. But the Wild were at Tampa last night facing the Lightning. And hey, cool, the Minnesota Wild got the scoring started.
Wild keep it alive in the offensive zone. Middleton left point. Swings it along to Faber. Left circle, Eriksson Ek scores! Joel Eriksson Ek off a nice pass from Brock Faber. Beats Vasilevsky short side high, and the Wild have the game's first goal.
All right, that was fun. Well, until less than a minute later, I believe it was Victor Hedman tying the game. First period in Tampa. It was 4-3 after 2, but 3 straight in the third by the Lightning, make it a 7-3 final for the Minnesota Wild. No rest for the weary. They got to get back at it tonight. You're going to hear the Wild on these airwaves. They are at the Florida Panthers. Puck drop on the East Coast shortly after 6 p.m. our time. Big news yesterday, bigger than anything, though, Jared Spurgeon. What an awful season for him health-wise, as he is now gone for 2024 with hip and back surgery. We're going to have the head coach, John Hines, on shortly after 11 a.m. today, 9 to noon. I'm sure that will come up. So stick it here, right here, The Fan, your home for Wild hockey, and your home for weekly interviews with head coach John Hines. It's the Wild File, brought to you by Pronto Heating and Air, prontoheat.com.
And outside of the football feast, I mean, all they do is win. They beat a bad Memphis team, down John Morant, Marcus Smart, and others, and they kind of jacked around with the game a little bit longer.
Quite a while.
Longer than they did the Pistons game when they permitted the ratty Pistons to hang like 40 on them in the first quarter. But the Timberwolves have it's hard to say this about them because you only say it about the very best in the game. But they've become push button.
Oh my gosh!
Fourth quarter push button.
Well, it's when I say that they become push button, it's like I'm beginning to believe they can beat anybody, anywhere, anytime. And for the first time in 20 years, they have push button to them. It's like lazily go about a quarter, lazily or inconsistently go about a half. Push the proverbial button and swoosh, go the swishes. And now Detroit and Memphis are different than some of the better teams in the NBA, but the most impressive for my taste, the most impressive Timberwolves game this year for me, and it had some push button to it, was a loss, and it was at Boston.
Boston?
Yeah. I mean, they're on a back-to-back, all right, and anytime teams, I've learned this over the years from Flip Saunders through Chris Finch, these Florida road trips for pro sports teams, when you get an overnight, I mean, they could be, let's just say, of the ultimate relaxing variety. And sometimes your mind will wane and drift. And the Celtics, the Celtics, I don't believe they had Porzingis. But still, they had Tatum. And I mean, he's Captain Cool, specifically with the game on the line. And they battled that team tooth and nail all the way through overtime. And you could see 2 minutes into overtime when Jaylen Brown stole the ball from Edwards near the sideline, and there was a run out, and Anthony just did not put the pedal to the metal. And I'm like, you know what? You're going to lose, and you're dead. Everybody's dead out of gas right now. That was a hell of an effort against a team that might go to the finals. So they have this push button to them that the good teams have, man. I really like it.
For most of our adult lives, the Wolves would be in games in which they would battle gallantly to be close in the fourth quarter, and then the other team would push the button, we lose.
Yeah.
Now we're the other team. It's taken us 20 years.
Right.
Now we're the other team. And Detroit can battle gallantly for 3.5 quarters, and then the Wolves push the button. It's over. And it's part of becoming a good team. Now, what I'd like to see the Wolves do when you've placed Detroit is, can we just kill them early? Can we not give up 40 in the first quarter? Can we just extinguish their hope early? That I would prefer to see those kind of games. We haven't had enough of those.
Well, I would imagine the head coach would too. But I mean, if whomever you feel is the best overall team in the NBA, I bet you if you look back at similar situations, you might see them give up 38 in the second. I mean, the season's so long. Chris Finch, when he joined earlier this week, I mean, I've been watching it since he said it. I mean, he put 9 to noon on an unbelievable angle.
What's that?
This is the way he put it was, this is the dead part of the season. This is where, like, when it's dead part of the season, All-Star breaks coming up soon, approaching the midway point, just got through the holidays, injuries have become a factor, legs are starting to get a little tired, 4 games in 5 days and stuff like that happens a little more frequently this time of the year. And he said there's an unprecedented amount of blowouts taking place in the NBA. So it's, I mean, and then so I started watching it that night, and I'm not sure what happened last night, but I mean, it's like games that usually would be 8, 9, 10, 11. The teams are losing by 20 to 30 to 35 to 38, and it's like the dead part of the equation is hitting early fourth quarter. We made a run. We got it to 11. They're back up 20. That's it. We're all done. And teams are losing by like 30 or 35 points, you know?
You asked where the Wolves are relative to the best teams in the league. Boston, better, right? They split with Boston. They won at home. They lost on the road in overtime. Boston feels like the most complete team.
Yeah, I mean, I've thought that before. From a Western Conference standpoint, when it comes to me and the Timberwolves, and like truly how good is the team defensively has gaudy numbers. It was, at least at last check, giving up the fewest points in the game. In that Boston game, Tatum, you know, granted due to a lot of switches and stuff, but, you know, Tatum was getting a step on Jaden McDaniels. But then we get to the end of regulation, and it's a clear out, and it's McDaniels and Tatum. And McDaniels forced him into a bad shot. A fall away, but Tatum's a lead. It almost went in. But if it's one-on-one, that's like what receivers will say to corners. Stop talking, my man, until you stop getting safety help, because that just makes you look like a fool. So go tell your coordinator, if you're really this good, then let's go one-on-one, because I'll get we'll craft a play where I promise you they'll throw it my way. But it doesn't happen. They get safety help. So therefore, you know, with like one-on-one matchups in the NBA, they're so fleeting because of the picks and the pick and rolls and work the shot clock down to 10 and then start moving people, stuff like that. So like you don't get McDaniels v. Tatum one-on-one, no picks, 6, 5, 4, 3. Tatum tried 3 different moves. His left hand's as good as anybody in the NBA, and he couldn't shake him. And McDaniels forced kind of a fall away shot that almost went in. But so the defense, yes, I believe in the defense. Edwards, you know, wherever you want to put Edwards as star appeal goes. One thing I brought up with Finch earlier in the week, podcastable, KFAN.com, is we all know Anthony's a star. He belongs in every situation. It's like he's one of those stars now where when you get into games against fellow stars, he fits in. And he's like, wow, he's the one to stop as much as he's the one to stop. So they've taken that step. Karl Anthony Towns playing off of it the way he has specifically with the 3-pointers. Well done. But it comes down to this for me, if both sides are healthy. How truly and deeply in your hearts do you believe they can beat Denver in a 7-game series? I mean, truly, and Rudy is having a renaissance season. Those who formulated the opinions after the trade last year that is the worst GM in the history of basketball. I mean, I'm about ready to say Kessler sucks. I mean, I've watched him, and he can't score. I mean, he is a liability on the floor. Fouls too much. He can block shots. That's cool. It's just funny how that whole thing flipped in 1 year. Rudy's dominated him. But nevertheless,
well, okay.
Is Jokic against this squad, Jokic and Murray.
Murray killed us in the playoffs.
Against this team in a 7-game series. I can't conclusively say Denver absolutely would beat them, but it's tough for me to say that Minnesota would get by Jokic because of the respect I have for him.
Let's talk Oklahoma City, a team that the Wolves have had trouble with, right? So you get SGA is one of the best 8 players in the league, 7 players, something like that, right?
That's hard to determine.
He's phenomenal. Okay. Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren looks like he's requisite of the first overall pick.
Yep.
Josh Giddey can be trouble. That is a good, young, athletic, fast team.
Agreed.
And if this thing played 7 games against Oklahoma City,
they're here tomorrow night.
I know.
Yeah, that's the bomb game.
This is a telling game because these two, if this thing plays to the way plays out the way it looks like it's going to, there's a very real chance these two teams face each other in the playoffs. Wolves, Oklahoma City, the game coming up tomorrow night could be a preview.
Well, the with Oklahoma City, and another thing that one or two things I brought up with the head coach, I think it was Tuesday, is in your Tolstoy, you mentioned that, and I hadn't thought of this, and I'd agree with it. And unless you really think it out, like Dallas against somebody out of the division, but out of division rivalry, Kansas City and Buffalo is the best in the NFL.
It is.
And that's of late, but it's been really, really good. And, from a basketball standpoint, the Timberwolves and Oklahoma City, obviously both in the Western Conference, those teams, when they get together, it's they have a developing rivalry.
I love it.
Now, I know, we're in the same conference, and Oklahoma City several states away. But those teams, it's not like a border battle. Those teams have a burgeoning rivalry that's palpable, and you can see it when players get dunked on, when there are hard fouls, when there are long runs. They care about beating each other because both are youthful in certain spots where they know they're going to be doing this for quite some time. Secondly, Oklahoma City is, at last check, number 1 in the NBA at fewest turnovers per game.
Okay.
Number 1 in the NBA at taking the ball.
Oh.
So think
and
NFL
that's still a problem for the Wolves.
Think the NFL take give. They take it the most and they give it the least. I mean, that is such a sneaky stat for them,
That is. And that's in what's been obviously a very good season for the Wolves, the turnover, too many turnovers. So that could end up being a big storyline. I have Wolves and Oklahoma played twice and they're
split.
1-1.
Yeah,
they won the first one. They lost the more recent one.
The first one they won was when they were trying to get into the Vegas play-in bid.
Bet. Yeah.
And then the last one, I mean, you can chalk it up to Oklahoma City just didn't miss. I mean, you got Lou Dort from 25 hitting 3 after 3 after 3. Williams can do that, but I mean, he was back at Dame Lillard, Steph Curry range when he was hitting those. So that's tomorrow. And around the corner, we will musically head back into the National Football League playoffs and do a little analyzing of some fight songs.
PA on the Fan.
Look out, football, here we come. Houston Oilers, number 1. Houston has the Oilers.
So glad you played this.
The greatest football team. We take the ball from goal to goal like no one's ever seen. We're in the air, we're on the ground, always in control. And when you say the Oilers, you're talking Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah,
'cause
yeah.
We're the Houston Oilers. Houston Oilers. Houston Oilers, number 1.
Goal!
Yes, we're the Houston Oilers. Houston Oilers. Houston Oilers, number 1.
Might be the greatest fight song for a football team in the history of football teams, fight songing. And, off yesterday, we started to listen to some fight songs from NFL teams and days gone by. And so we've decided to, with the 8 remaining, not determine who the best team is, but who has the best fight song.
Yeah.
And I would imagine not every team has a fight song, right?
Well,
do the Baltimore Ravens have a fight song?
I found something, and you guys are going to hear
Are
it.
you kidding me?
Something. You guys are going to hear it momentarily.
Wow.
I think most teams have something, and I guess I'll just jump ahead to the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
So the Chiefs, I'm not going to play it for you yet, but apparently in the 60s, Marv Levy, of all people, started, he's like, you need something for people to cheer along with. So he actually wrote lyrics.
Jeez.
For a song called Give a Cheer for Kansas City. Marv Levy, music, and I can't find the song.
Wow.
Walter Bryant did the music. Give a Cheer for Kansas City,
The
loud and
Levy
clear.
family getting mailbox money for a football fight song written in the 60s.
Yeah. Give a cheer for Kansas City, loud and clear for red and gold, as our Chiefs march on to victory like our mighty teams of old. Rah, rah for Kansas City. Okay, well, it's not exactly Shakespeare here. Beat the drum, here we come. Warriors brave and strong. In the stands, loyal fans cheer our team along. That's not bad. But when you hear their song, and it's called I think it's Roll With It, and it's the same as the Florida State Seminoles. That was the best I could find with them. But I put it together by matchup, and so we're going to start with the Texans and the Ravens. So you guys just tell me what you think. For those that listen to 9 to noon, you heard this yesterday, but for Charch, be ready to get on the Texans bandwagon.
Well, it's finally here. I've been waiting all week just to kick this thing off. I've been rocking away on the edge of my seat.
Football time in Houston, Charch.
Ready to roll. Here they come to mix things up. Bet your boots that we're tough enough. Let's get ready to root for our team. All you Texans, get up and scream. It's football time in Houston.
All right. Not bad. It sounds a little bit like the Monday Night Football theme, but yeah, it's good. It's catchy. It's well produced.
So it's very obviously contemporary. That being newer team, newer song. That was Clay Walker, I think, who did that.
Yeah.
Now they are heading to Baltimore to face the Ravens at M&T Bank Stadium. Let's hear what the Ravens have.
You think they'll get it right?
I can't understand the words.
No idea.
So the Ravens,
That's a little too much trombone for my taste, honestly.
Baltimore Ravens,
Well,
let's go.
Yeah.
And put that ball across the line.
That
so
it?
fly on with talons, spread wide.
Oh, God.
Go in and strike with Ravens pride.
Yeah.
Fight. So Ravens dark wings take to flight, dive in and show them your might. For Baltimore and Maryland, you will fly on to victory.
For me in this contest, I'm with this game, I'm giving best fight song to the Ravens. You know, even though there was too much trombone and I couldn't understand the word, it's a fight song.
Yeah.
The other one's a song.
Not a pop song.
This is a fight song. So simply by having a fight song, they win.
I tapped out on spread your talons. I got distracted at that point, and I'm out. The Houston one is a sing-along, feel-good song.
Yeah.
This is way too John Philip Sousa. I can't imagine a bunch of fans all getting agitated, excited,
Understood.
getting out of their seat to join in the trombone solo in the Ravens fight
But
song.
when you think fight songs or you think NFL films, you think trombone. You think tuba. Don't you?
Think of the kids, Paul. We're old. We
Okay.
do. We
I
think of
understand.
that because they didn't have electric guitars when we grew up.
I understand. What's next?
All right. So now, later on Saturday, I believe we're heading to Santa Clara. Is that accurate? Mm-hmm. And we will start with the visitors. Let me see here. Trying to find it. Oh, there we go. It is the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, jeez.
Go, you Packers, go. And actually, I like this intro, so we're going to play it out.
This is Bart Starr of the Green Bay Packers.
Wow.
Go, you Packers, go.
Oh, that's nice.
Was there any lyrics?
It sounds like the Macy's Day, the Macy's the parade.
Well, are we going to get lyrics here?
I don't know.
Do you have to have lyrics? Who needs lyrics in songs?
Yeah, right. But see, they'd actually have to know how to read.
I mean, do they... This is awful.
Well, maybe it's a song that has lyrics that nobody sings except for the crowd.
Yeah, maybe that's it. The crowd's supposed to be singing, but they don't know the words.
Yeah, they just grunt.
I've been to Lambeau Field in the neighborhood of 23 times. I've never heard this played one time.
No, they played the Todd Ronson bang on the drum.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's
Todd Rundgren?
Yeah,
Todd Rundgren. There we go.
Isn't that? Yeah, but see, that's OG. I mean, that's Bart Starr. So that's the OG fight song.
Oh, how about this? Here we go. Hail, hail, the gang's all here to yell for you and keep you going in your winning ways. Packers fans can't.
That was part. Can't remember. You're supposed to sing that over the brass section we just heard.
I think so.
Well, the Packers.
Hail, hail, the gang's all here to yell with you too. What?
I wonder if the fans just consider the if that's just.
Is it just 60,000 people mumbling?
Yeah,
at Lambeau.
Is that just the? Okay, do they consider that the fight song?
Like drool on their lips
to this conversation. Did you guys see the famous Christmas movie called A Christmas Story?
I think so.
Right?
Jimmy Stewart?
No, that's It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh.
Christmas Story is the one set in the 50s with the leg lamp in it, that one. You may remember a kid stuck his tongue to a frozen pole.
Ew.
If you're in Green Bay, does the brass section do that? You're the one playing the tuba. It's -5 degrees out at Lambeau.
Wow.
Do your lips stick to your tuba? I think that's critical to this whole story.
That's a fair question, but it also is a public service announcement to those in this part of the country, who play an instrument like that, to just be careful. Just be cognizant and operate tuba and or trombone blowing with safety. What about the Niners? They got one?
Well, they do, but now I'm hoping that I have actual lyrics for some of these songs. So here's the song itself. Let's get this thing going here.
We love the 49ers, our team is number one. We cheers for Joe Montana, and Fred is all a fun. Hey. And while the team is playing, and lights are all aglow, just like we are Tolo and Shuffle Golden Joe. While our team is fighting for us, and the band begins to swing, our loyal fans will join the chorus, and you'll hear the Raptors ring. When you hear the sound of thunder, and the wind begins to blow, don't take the time to stop and wonder. It's a flying pass from Joe.
Well, the Niners will win the game, and the Niners have won the fight song battle because it has words.
It has words.
You can follow it.
Even though I can't really follow it, and I can't imagine singing it with them, that one's way better than the Packers fight song.
Right.
Now, isn't Go Pack Go their fight song?
Yeah, but
is that a song? Can it be? Can your song be just
out, 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 and out, out, out?
Go Pack Go.
Well, you got to keep it simple.
Right, yeah. I think, right.
That's, just think about the average age of Lambeau Field. I mean, so it's, so the Niners win the game. Do you think the Niners win the game?
Yes.
And I know Nordo does too. So, we're unanimous on fight song terrorism. We give it to the 49ers.
All right. So now we move on to the NFC game in Detroit, and starting with. Now, I'm hoping it says the Originals Bucks fight song. It's by Jeff Arthur in 1979. Hey, hey, Tampa Bay.
Love it. Ooh, that's nice.
BUCCANERS.
What a dumb idea.
A hard word to spell to start a song.
It really is.
Lead guitar.
It's funky.
Yeah.
We're in trouble, that's okay. We can pull it out.
He can pull it out.
We're on the top. We stand up and shout. Hey, Tampa Bay.
Yeah, this
is the best one so far.
Terrific.
Do they play it anymore? They should.
But it sounds like the opening theme for like a Brady Bunch-esque show or a game show with Bob Barker or maybe a little later Chuck Woolery. That's it?
That's it.
But I love that it's that short.
Me too.
That's fantastic.
Wow, Detroit, you have a tall task to beat that one, you kiddies.
Down the field, a Lions team that will not yield. And when the blue and silver wave, you stand and cheer the brave. Hard win the game. With honor you will keep your fame. So down the field and gain a Lions victory.
Okay, your fight song should
that's not bad.
require you to be a baritone.
That's not bad.
Oh. That's it. You look, you can't. Who's going to sing along with that?
Yeah.
Nobody.
So
you can't sing with that.
Lions fans can tell me if I'm wrong, but I read something that's called Gridiron Heroes. And I think they actually, like, we have somebody blow the Galler horn. I think somebody sings that song between or before every Lions game. So they can tell me if I'm wrong. But that's that's decades old. That's not bad.
Here's the other problem.
I still give it to Tampa, but
that is that's a high rated race right there. We're talking about when it comes to team fight songs. This like Houston and Baltimore, that was high level claiming activity. You can claim that song if you want. This was stakes race material here. I mean that's a G1 winner in Hey Tampa Bay.
They went to record that song, and they had a full outfit of brass all lined up. They were going to have trumpet. They were going to have trombone. But the problem was the only guy that showed up was the tuba player. Yeah. And they're like, you know what? Let's just record anyway.
Yeah.
Tuba solo, one guy playing tuba and one baritone belting out words. Let's make it work.
It wasn't the most high fidelity recording we've ever heard.
Right.
But, I mean, just think about
Tampa Bay wins the race.
What if Robert Porsche rolls in there, gets the crowd going? Picture him bellowing that out. I'd take the bag off my head to sing with Robert Porsche. That's awesome. Gridiron Heroes.
So Baltimore, San Francisco, Tampa Bay for fight songs.
Yeah.
And then we'll see what we have here on the final one, because I wonder what a 4-team fight song parlay would end up paying if you take the song you like the best, mesh it with the team, and see what happens for $10.
So here is the Buffalo Bills. So the Buffalo Bills are hosting the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday night. And, well, this is kind of a rip-off song, I think, based on the name of it. It's called Shout.
The Bills make me wanna shout, kick your heels up and shout, throw your hands up and shout, throw your heads
that's not fair. Isley Brothers ripoff.
The Bills are making it happen now. Stand up now, come on and shout, yeah.
We have a picture Orchard Park after 24 inches of snow.
Come on.
And Josh Allen runs one in, and the snow starts flying. This will be fun.
Yeah.
Big time.
Buffalo's happening now.
Buffalo's happening now.
The Bills are happening now. They're making it happen now. We got the spirit, a lot of spirit, yeah. We got the spirit. Just watch it happen now. Hey. Let's go Buffalo.
Let's go Buffalo.
Let's go Buffalo.
Let's go Buffalo.
The Bills make me wanna shout.
See, that's what stinks. They need more time before the kickoff so they can do something, get a little softer now.
Yeah.
A little bit softer now.
Felt it up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But see, when you do a fight song, my guess is that part of the deal is you should not have to pay royalties to an actual band for ripping off their song.
Who did the original Shout? That's me being dumb.
Well, it's the Beatles have done it. The Isley Brothers have done it. I've never heard the Beatles version. I'm pretty sure they did it. Isley Brothers is who I would guess.
I think you're right. It's originally recorded by Isley in 59.
Yeah, Isley Brothers.
Wow, the Isley Brothers are making music in 59?
59.
Yeah, Ronald
They're
Isley.
making that NFL money? Let it happen.
Well, I mean, right, because they recognized, X amount of years later, band members are going to be alive and we're going to need money because we're spending too much. We ain't making enough, A. And B, what we are making, we're spending. So let's go ahead and do this solid for the Buffalo Bills and with Joe Pisarcik or whomever at quarterback, not Pisarcik, but Joe Ferguson at quarterback with that aggressive mustache, the Fu Manchu, and then we'll be getting some mailbox money in the 80s and 90s. Hey,
well, they made no money effectively when they were making those songs in the 50s and 60s.
Yep.
But the grandkids, what about some found money for the grandkids?
Well, wait, the Isley Brothers were huge in their day, weren't they?
Right, but I mean, it's you get into all the bad deals signed with record companies.
Yeah, they're not playing the amphitheaters and the stadiums like the Beatles and some of those other bands.
They did a slower song called Caravan of Love, and it was a big hit. But see, then Nordo's generation rolls along, and they start taking the OG music and sampling it and crushing with it. So I'm not sure how those deals worked for like the Isley Brothers, because there's one rap song that I know you know and you love, Footsteps in the Dark.
Footsteps in the Dark is Today Was a Good Day for Ice Cube, I think.
About that? How about that song for Ice Cube, Today Was a Good Day? I mean, it's a massive rap song, and I enjoy it.
This is it right here, right?
Footsteps in the Dark. Yeah, here we are. Bam, bam, bam. So that's, that was sampled, and I just don't know if deals were constructed the right way so that the OGs were properly getting paid. So maybe they had to do fight songs.
Isley Brothers have had a ton of success. They're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Correct.
They are in the Grammy Awards Hall of Fame. Well, 2 songs of theirs are in the Grammy Hall of Fame. Shout and...
who's that lady?
Twist and Shout.
Oh, Twist
they had
and
Shout, and then they had Twist and Shout. Mm-hmm. I mean, it feels like they kind of leaned into the whole shouting thing a little bit for them. They were genuinely huge, and they're still they're still making a ton of money.
Well, no, that's the key. The only to PA's point though, years and years ago, they should be in the Hall of Fame. That's awesome. But they weren't making the radio money and getting some of the promotional action that other musicians were.
I don't think that's right. I think they were huge in their day.
I mean, Plugola and Payola in our industry exist specifically because there were issues in the radio industry related to people not getting the airtime because other people would be paying for that opportunity.
I think, Ron.
Okay, but you're just wrong on this. The Isley Brothers were huge. They have 13 albums that went gold, platinum, or multi-platinum. They were huge in their day. Absolutely huge.
But the point being is how record deals were constructed. I mean, the late Prince Rogers Nelson got really loud about this, for 10, 15 years before he died. He's like, the way he lays it out, he's like, you pay $19 for a record. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what percentage do you think is fair for me and my band to get? And like the guy said, 50%. He goes, okay, perfect number. It's a good place to start.
Right.
And then he sliced and diced the whole thing. He's like,
yeah, we get $1.
Yeah, we get $1.30. Yep. And by the way, that deal Mariah Carey just signed that everybody with Sony or whatever, everybody thinks it's awful. It's an awful deal for how big her songs are going to be. Are going to be. So that's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Are we out of songs?
Well, this is, and Chiefs fans, you're going to have to tell me. Because I was telling you earlier that Give a Cheer to Kansas City, the bit written by Marv Levy like 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, this is the only thing that I could find other than more contemporary rap songs. Yeah. And it's a very noticeable thing. Do they play this at Chiefs games?
Oh, yeah. You can hear it at home.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I know
who started that? Them, Florida State, or the Atlanta Braves?
That I don't know. But I've heard it in all 3 venues over the course of time, most notably the Seminoles for me.
What's the name of the song?
I think it's Roll With It.
Well, I'm going to give that pairing to Buffalo. I think Kansas City wins the game, but I'm going to give that fight song to Buffalo. And so if you take from a fight song standpoint, a $10 4-fight song parlay, you have the Ravens minus 420, Buffalo Kansas City would be plus 120. And hold on here real quick. San Francisco minus 4.5 to 1, and Tampa Bay wins. Hey Tampa Bay plus 225. $10 gets you $98. That's not bad.
That's not bad.
100 gets you 981. Hey.
Or parlay.
You got to get
fight songs.
Baltimore, Kansas City, San Francisco, and
Tampa
Bay to win. Speaking of winning, hopefully the Wild can do that this evening against the Florida Panthers. You'll hear it on KFAN. The